All right, hi everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Silverchair Universe Presents ReadSpeaker. This is Basha Jones speaking, subbing in for Stephanie Lovegrove while she's out on leave. We're really excited to have you with us today to learn more about ReadSpeaker. With us, we have Tom DiPietropolo from ReadSpeaker, who will be taking us through their product. Before we get started, I have a few notes to go through. Attendees have been muted, so if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please type them into the chat box and we can address them at the end of the presentation. And the webinar is being recorded and the link to the recording will be sent to you after the talk. Lastly, when the webinar has concluded, you'll get a brief survey. We really appreciate you taking a minute to complete the survey to help us improve both the Universe offerings and the webinar series. So with all that being said, I'm going to hand over the reins to Tom. And just give me 1 second to do that. All right, Tom, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let me share that screen.
There you go, looks good.
Perfect. So thank you for taking some time to learn about ReadSpeaker today and our text-to-speech solution. We appreciate it and we're looking forward to your feedback and questions. Just think of this as an overview of our text-to-speech services, and please don't hesitate to reach out for a one-on-one meeting and overview. So first, let's talk about why use text-to-speech. We see users are accessing content from a variety of different devices and places now. They're tackling multiple tasks at once and looking to interact with content, not simply reading text on a page. So the ReadSpeaker TTS service allows you to add interactivity to all of that great text-based content that you've already developed and have published out onto the World Wide Web, and make that content immediately interactive so that the user can select the text, listen to it, possibly download an MP3 file for offline listening, but really we give functionality and interactivity to your content. When we talk about learning, professional development, lifelong learning, the text-to-speech service is a unique solution to support your users. We allow the user to interact with your content while also improving things like word recognition, building vocabulary, reading comprehension. And this is one of the reasons you're seeing text-to-speech being used in education starting in early K, grade 1, grade 2 levels, where students are able to listen to content throughout their learning mode. So when you think about a text-to-speech service, first thing people usually think about is accessibility. They think about users with a visual impairment. However, there's a much wider audience that can benefit from text-to-speech. That user that is multitasking, that is looking to access your content from a mobile phone that has a small screen and might be interested in listening to the content while they're on the subway or the bus. Also, you have folks with diagnosed learning disabilities like dyslexia, ADHD. So the text-to-speech feature is really geared towards a much wider audience than just those with a visual impairment. I'll share one quick story where at a recent conference I had a chance to meet with an honors English student, and in the conversation I didn't expect to hear how much she utilized the ReadSpeaker service, but she shared that it was part of her study routine where in reviewing the educational content late at night, she would engage the text-to-speech service in order to increase her attentiveness and have her be able to review more of the content together. So that was an honors English student sharing a story with me about how much she appreciated the ReadSpeaker service and actually how she went out to find where else our service was implemented in various database resources like EBSCO, Gale, where our TTS service has been integrated. A little bit of background on ReadSpeaker. So we have been in the text-to-speech market for over 20 years. It is our sole focus. So we are an end-to-end technology company focused specifically on text-to-speach. With that gives us a worldwide presence where we offer 50 languages and over 200 voices with multiple voices for languages, where we'll have male and female, as well as multiple dialects based on the language of the content we're reading. Our text-to-speech solutions are delivered typically in one of three ways. The TTS software as a service is the integration we're going to focus on today, where we have built an integration into the Silverchair platform to allow the text to be sent to the ReadSpeaker servers in real time, and then we stream back the audio with follow-along highlighting. And this supports HTML content, documents, as well as forms. ReadSpeaker also licenses our TTS service for mobile applications or private server installations where all of the content needs to stay within a private server. And then also production, where we create MP3 files for offline listening, where you can run a script or a set of text through our API service and create an MP3 file on the other end. The key piece you'll hear me focus on is ReadSpeaker and the quality of our voices, where we build our voices off of actual human recordings. So we actually work with voice talent across the world where they are in a sound studio recording sound patterns and parts of speech. And when those recordings are complete, our linguist and speech scientist then map those recordings to a proprietary speech engine. That proprietary speech engine gives ReadSpeaker a lot more control than some of your other text-to-speech providers, where we can implement what's called a custom dictionary, specific rules to your content. So we can listen back to your content, hear something that needs to be corrected, and by implementing a rule in the dictionary, that rule is immediately applied to your content, so that there's no HTML code update, there's no speech synthesis markup language needed. The correction is applied on the server side of the engine and immediately rolled out to your content. When it comes to pronunciation, we don't require a lot of pronunciation corrections. I think it's important to note in this independent study based on an English language sample, ReadSpeaker came out at 98.6% accurate. However, given the variety of Silverchair content, when it comes to reading of acronyms, scientific terms, and unique things that need to be speech enabled, that's where the ReadSpeaker pronunciation team can support and make sure that your content is read correctly. So you'll see we came out top when compared to all other TTS providers. However, it is, with acronyms and with those scientific notifications, pronunciation corrections is something that's a part of our customer and TTS service. When we talk about worldwide presence, we offer our TTS services in more than 50 languages. So this is just a snapshot of the languages that we offer, where the content on the screen is in French, for example. We will read back in a native French voice that audio with follow-along highlighting. So if you have content in Arabic, in German, in Russian, we notice that as a language tab in your HTML code, where you're telling us we are sending you this language, please read it back, and in real time we stream back the audio. So we can also support things like language switching. If you have content that is displayed in English and then changes to Spanish, we can read that content without an interruption to the service. When we talk about our text-to-speech service, when ReadSpeaker first started, we had our our implementation of a play button, and it started very simple as, we simply would read the text back to the website user, to the learner. And then over time, we had requests for additional tools and features. So we started to build out what we call our listen bars. So the top right is a toolbar that released a few years ago called Enterprise Highlighting, where in addition to the play and pause feature, we gave users the ability to interact with the volume, download an MP3 file, and then control settings around highlighting, speed of the voice, and work with that interaction of how they wanted the text-to-speech service to be handled specifically for that user. And then last year we released our web reader toolbar, which is on the bottom left-hand side, where we added additional learning tool functionality. So we added for example, the read on hover feature, where it turns the mouse into basically a microphone so that the user can mouse into a specific area and listen to that text-to-speech. We added enlarged text, where we call out the text that we're reading on the bottom of the page. I like to call that the reading rainbow feature, if you remember years ago with the bouncing ball. It's also been called the karaoke feature, where we call out the text that the user is listening to. Simple view. This is a feature that was requested where we hide all of the icons and all of the menu bars and simply display the text that we're going to read to, again, focus the reader's attention. Page mask is a tool that grays out the rest of the page and gives the student, a specific ruler to work with. And then translation, we built in a translation feature that allows the user to select a paragraph and translate the content, and then have that content read back to them in that native language. So ReadSpeaker and my division at ReadSpeaker is focused on education and publishing. So here's just a snapshot of the folks we work with. Again, a global presence where we're reading content from all across the globe and to learners, users, and anyone that would benefit from an auditory version of the content. In addition to working with various publishers and content providers, we've also built out integrations for platforms like Silverchair, where our technical team, the ReadSpeaker development team, has looked at the platform, developed an integration, and made it available to the platform company so that Silverchair subscribers can enable that code with very little technical work. So all of the development work and the backend work has already been done. It just needs to be applied to your content. And then we have that text-to-speech solution for the platform. So what I'd like to do now is just take a few minutes and give you a look at ReadSpeaker kind of in the wild. So I'll give you a look at it first and the McGraw-Hill Access Medicine platform, and then we'll give you a look at Web Reader on the Silverchair website. So if you're viewing the Access Medicine from McGraw-Hill and you look at their content, the way they have their content presented in the Silverchair platform is they have it broken out into these drop downs. And when the user or the learner comes into a specific section, the listen bar is available to them. So when the user interacts with that button, the text is going to be sent to the ReadSpeaker server, and we're going to stream back the audio.
Introduction. Hospital medicine is entering its third decade since the term hospitalist was first created by Wachter and Goldman.
So this is our enterprise highlighting tool that the McGraw-Hill team chose based on their implementation in Silverchair. As you can see, if you recall my previous slide, we had a download MP3 option. McGraw-Hill, through the implementation, did not want their content to be available as a download MP3. So that option is removed from the bar. So in the implementation project, you can choose what features are enabled, how they look and how they appear in your platform. So the ReadSpeaker service is customizable based on your specific needs. I talked about before how the user in this enterprise highlighting tool can change the highlighting color. They can change the speed and things like automatic scrolling. So very simple tools and controls that they can use based on the text-to-speech service that they want. And again, that settings menu is customizable, where you can control what features the learner, the user, has access to. A second implementation to give you a look at. So this is our web reader tool as it's been deployed on the Silverchair website. So if you were to pull up the Silverchair news desk and look at any of the blog posts, you would see this listen bar is available that will allow the user to enable the text-to-speech service.
Silverchair delivers text-to-speech via ReadSpeaker integration.
So immediately in real time, that text-to-speech audio is generated. If I scroll down off the window, the listen bar follows me so that it's always within view. And again, based on your UI, your UX, and how you've implement content in the Silverchair platform, our listen toolbars can be customized based on your needs. I had mentioned the drop-down bars before, the read on hover, the karaoke feature. I'll give you a look at the karaoke feature, for example. If I select a specific paragraph that I want to listen to, say that I don't want to listen to this article from the top to bottom, but this is the paragraph that I really want to focus in on. As I select a paragraph, I get the option to play specifically that content.
ReadSpeaker offers dynamic solutions in online and offline text-to-speech.
So that karaoke feature is called out on the bottom. The user can zoom in and zoom out, and they can really interact with that text-based content in a different way. Our simple view is where we're going to make the text larger and bring it into its main window to focus the reader's eyes. And again, we have the zoom in and zoom out feature where we're looking at the content that you have asked us to read in the integration of the listen bar, and we make it available to the learner in that area. For translation, when a paragraph or a number of paragraphs are selected, the user can then select the language they want it translated into. So for example, if we take it to Italian, using our simple view box, we're going to present that paragraph in Italian. We are going to use the Google API for this implementation. We do have other translation APIs that we can implement, but the first time the user interacts with this feature, we tell them it's a word-by-word translation through the Google API. So we tell them it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to give them an idea of the content that they're working with. And again, the text is sent and audio is streamed back. I had talked about the settings. So again, the web reader tool comes with some additional settings than the enterprise highlighting tool. So you can control things like reading speed, turning the text highlighting on and off. You can also adjust the fonts. So again, based on the simple text that you're going to send to us, we're able to give the viewer a different view in that simple view box. So example, if they wanted to see it in open dyslexic font, they can also change what the background images are. And these saves are going to be local to that desktop and saved as a cookie, so that it's going to remember the preferences that that user set on their computer. And when they launch the simple view this time, they're going to have a different font experience based on the, for example, we chose the open dyslexic font. Last, just to quickly mention, we do have a word lookup feature that is part of the toolbar. So we can select a word that we want to have looked up. We can select the word lookup feature, and we're going to get that word as well as the pronunciation. And for this implementation, we're using the dictionary.com API. But again, that's flexible. If there's an API service or a dictionary that you have specifically for your content, we can point to that. And again, this feature can be turned on and off as needed. Finally, there's a help feature just to give the walkthrough that I gave you on all of the tools. It gives that content to the user, where the idea being, they understand which tools are available to them so that they can work with them and utilize your content in a different way. To finalize or to summarize the ReadSpeaker service, we look at it as adding a feature to your content. We are very flexible in the implementation. We understand and respect that you control your content, the UI and UX that's there, and we try to work with you so that the implementation is available to the user. It's not intrusive but intuitive, and we are happy to discuss multiple business models and working with you based on our TTS service and how it's going to be enabled on your site and with your content. And with that, that is the review of the ReadSpeaker service. It's fairly straightforward and fairly simple, where we are taking the text on the screen and turning it into follow-along highlighting with audio.
Thanks so much, Tom. I'll give a few moments for people to type in any questions if we have any. And in the meantime, I have one question for you, which is, can you share a bit about what is there or what kind of reporting or analytics tracking do you offer for publishers that do put the ReadSpeaker service on their site?
Great question. So we have a full set of admin tools that whether it be the developer or the product owner can log into, and they're able to see in real time what content is being listened to, what page is most popular and is most popular for that month, the number of listens, and they can see that interaction, whether it be on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis. And that's a key question, because when we talk about our pricing models, we work off of actual usage from the previous year. So the ReadSpeaker service, we look at our service as a partnership where the price is reliant on the usage. So we always look at that data when we lock in the price for the following year.
Great, thank you for that. I don't see any questions coming in, so I will just go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to either Tom, whose information was on the screen there, myself, Stephanie, or your product delivery manager that you work with at Silverchair. Have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you soon on a future Silverchair Universe webinar. Take care.